Hi and good morning. It's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Super early hours this morning. I thought I'd get up and put this YouTube video up for you guys because we've had some recent data from Canada, one of our superstars over there, Kendall. Super big thank you to you. As you can see, we're looking at his daily muon reading count, which we're going to go through very shortly. But before we do, a super big thank you to Margaret yesterday, who made a donation to us. Out of 1,000 people, can you think? Just for a moment, we had one person step forward yesterday and donate to the observatory. This is what we're talking about here at the observatory. It's very difficult to balance everything up, especially when you've got, like we all do, we all have personal lives, and we're trying to balance up, our working lives as well as other things. And we are seeing a slight decline in some of the information coming from our magnetometers around the world. Arizona's gone quiet, west coast of Australia has gone quiet, but we still have two of our main regions, Canada and obviously our superstar who's done this, collected this data for us. He not only owns one of our muon detectors, but he's also got one of our magnetometers. But we also have Jeff down there on the east coast of Australia in Perth, who sends us his data. I'm not sure what's going on in Hong Kong because it's been a bit quiet lately. There was another magnetometer sent out there, because it was mentioned before that perhaps one of these magnetometers, so there's two in Hong Kong at the moment, but one should be going to Bali. If that is still on, we'll be getting the data every 3 months from Bali as opposed to every month. And if Hong Kong's still online, we should be getting the data from that as well. I did know that there was, we had some communication about a month ago, and there was a problem with the magnetometer. For some reason it failed to record data onto the SD card. It was blank. But I had a similar problem with my magnetometer, so I'm not sure what it is. It might just be something as silly as the battery on the data writer or the SD card writer has simply failed, and all that battery does is supply clock time, which is important because we're taking seconds, hours, minutes of the day, recording tape, date, time, group stamps of the time, along with the UT strength. So let's get into the data then. Let's have a look at what Kendall sent us. What I'll do is I'll quickly drift through this for you, not that quick, but I will quickly drift through it so you can, at your leisure, have a look at the daily recordings of the muons. At the top there you can see the date, the time, the reading, the count, rate per hour in the last 24 hours, and weather over the last 24 hours, wind in kph and temp in Celsius. So you can see he's done a really amazing job for us here, guys, by doing this. I certainly don't have the time to lay it down as Kendall does with the muon readings that we get. I just simply drop them, the rate down there on the Earth Alpha at a glance for you guys to see, so you can see just the amount at the time it was taken, and then you can go back into the historical records and see how that's fluctuating, along with all the other things that we've got on the Earth Alpha at a glance. So there's Kendall's data. I completely respect the effort that you're putting in, Kendall. I think it's amazing. That's why I think it's well worth sharing what data you've collected with the muons over the month, along with obviously the important magnetometer data. And the reason why we focus on Canada is because it's an important location with regards to a diminishing intensity of magnetism in that region. And we know that around about 120 years ago, 130 years ago, the magnetic North Pole was very close to Canada, and that in the last 120 years or so it has migrated over or just under 2,000 miles, and is heading towards Siberia, just below the the Arctic Circle, there in Russia. We've pinpointed that. I might do that as well in this video, so that you get an idea as to where things are going and at what rate they are moving. So let's have a look at the data that Kendall sent us from his magnetometer. So if you go over to poleshiftnews.com, you can see the historical record of the data that we've collected from Canada. This is this month's, or should I say last month's reading, from the 22nd of the 3rd 2021 to the 21st of the 4th 2021. What we can see is there was a slight drop. That could be just an error in the magnetometer. It could be a natural anomaly. These are the things that we are trying to effort what they are, but you can see there was obviously a drop back down to around 59. It gradually picked up throughout the middle of the month, but then fell below the line of 60 on the left hand part of the column. But this is not unusual from the data that we collect from Canada, and it shouldn't be really by any surprise, because when we look at the historical record of the data that we've been collecting from there, we can see that these jumps are common, but in general we see, you know, the frequency of the readings you know, are regular. Again, I'm not surprised by that, because, you know, if we saw rapid changes in the data that we were collecting, and, you know, it became more frequent, obviously there's an event taking place, isn't there? So, you know, we should be thankful that, you know, things are slowly, gradually shifting and not rapidly shifting, and all this could change, really could, within a couple of years. We've got to wait and see. Remember, this is just my theory, and based on, you know, all the data that I've collected and some of the experiments I've done. I know I've promised that I'm going to do some of these experiments again, so that some of the new subscribers, or some of those that you know, don't have the time simply to go back into the archive of the YouTube videos that I've done, can you know, re-see those experiments, and you know, get a feel for what's going on in general. So, you know, I want to just say also, before I end this video, you know, big thanks to those people, obviously, that have been showing a bit of personal interest in, you know, some of the things that's going on in my life. As you know, was diagnosed with lung cancer originally. We've had a second opinion on this now. We've had a couple of CT scans, but the last one was a PET CT scan, where they, you know, inject you with a radioactive tracer, which was quite interesting, because the first thing I did, as you would imagine, when I got back home, was switch the Geiger counter on to see how radioactive I was, because I was told not to go by pregnant women or children for the rest of the day. So, you know, I was curious as to how much radiation I'd actually received, and was quite surprised, because, you know, our background reading on the radiation, if you look at the Earth Health at a glance, is usually 0.12 to 0.15 microsieverts. This hit 50 on the day, and you could just hear, you know, the squelching of the tube absorbing all that radiation as it was counting it. It was like, you know, but it as they said, you know, died out, and reached its half-life, and died out very quickly within 24 hours. The next day, you know, the count was back to zero. But the important thing is here, guys, is that we get the decision on what is actually going on this week with regards to that. So, you know, I've got my fingers crossed. All I want to hear is it's something. Obviously, there is something there, because we can see it on the X-ray. There is something there, but, you know, what we don't want to hear is that it is the horrible, dreaded C word. That it's something else, you know, I don't know, bronchitis or sidosis, or, you know, tuberculosis or anything like that, because it's treatable, and that means my long-term plans then are still intact. But if it is cancer, then, you know, life has still got to go on here at the observatory. You know, we've got to make some changes so that the information still continues to come in regularly. And that is my ambition, that even if I'm not here to do it, I will try and get somebody else to do it for us, so that none of this goes to waste. It's crazy, isn't it, that if you're really passionate about something, that you don't want to let things, even big things like that, get in the way of what you do, and you want to make sure that it continues. So I have briefly discussed it with somebody, with the managing and running of the observatory. If the worst case scenario comes, okay, we have to talk about it. And it's crazy, guys. I hope you don't mind me being a little bit personal with my life and discussing this with you. It's just to give you really a heads up of what could possibly happen in the future. But it is, like I said in that video when I first talked about this, something that we don't think about, and obviously we don't plan for it, but it is something that can happen to any one of us. And we have to always, I think, have that at the back of mind. And one of the things that I expressed in that video was, if you're like me and you're going along in life, with a sort of blinkered opinion on as to the realities of some circumstances that can arrive in your life, then I think it is paramount that you get some insurances in place, because if you definitely have dependents and loved ones that are relying on your income, and all of a sudden something crops up that you'll not be able to deliver an income for them, then who's going to take care of them? My point is this, is as I mentioned in that video when I first started to discuss this, that I realised how important it was to have life insurance. And obviously I haven't got it, and now I realise that I should have got it. It's always like everything else, when you reach the end of the book, you get a good idea of what the book was all about. And that's I think that is life in general. It's not until a crisis or a situation arises, like I talk about all the time in these videos, that we realise we should have done something about it. Like with the bug out bags and 3-month food supply, we should have done something about it. We should have had that, so that when the tsunami struck, there was a contingency plan that we'd put in place, ready to kick in and provide some essentials for us. But when something is life-threatening and it suddenly comes about, then you realise you should have done something before. And what my whole point about these videos is that we realise that there is issues that we need to plan for, and that we don't leave it to the last minute, because it's too late. When it's at your door, it's just way too late to do something about it. So there you are, guys. We've had some data, thankfully, coming from one of our superstars. I'll be chasing up some of our other superstars, see if there's any data available for them, from them, should I say. And I'll let you know those people that have expressed a bit of concern for some of those personal things that's going on in my life with regards to this decision that's going to be obviously made this week as to what we are dealing with. I'll keep you informed with that and anything else to do with the observatory. So there's a link down there. Come on, let's see a couple more people step forward. It's a terrible thing to see just one person making such an effort when there's 1,000 people there viewing the videos. Be amazing to see a little bit more support for the observatory, because I'm sure the information that we give is important to you as it is to me. So the link's down there in the description if you want to help support it. And there is only one other thing to say, isn't there, guys? Have an amazing day, look after your loved ones, and as always, bye for now.